changes to the agenda? Do we have anything?
If we have Cheryl show up, we can go forward with 9A. If not, we're gonna have to skip that one.
If who shows up?
Cheryl.
Okay.
Maybe that's her. Yep.
Disregard.
I don't think I've been happier to see anybody.
Entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
I motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
Motion by Eric, second by Josh to approve the agenda. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Approval of the minutes from December 9th. Do you have any changes?
No changes here. Motion to approve the minutes from December 9th, 2025.
Second.
Motion by Eric, second by Josh to approve the minutes of December 9th, 2025. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Anybody here for the public forum?
I don't have anything.
You have anything? Okay, seeing nobody, will close the public forum. Start with the final plat for SD 2025-04, Foreman subdivision.
Okay. Thank you. So, this is a one-step final plat. Foreman subdivision. And, the materials is not on 24 by 36 in size. It is, printed in a bigger sheet for your viewing pleasure. It's 11 by 17 or 11 and a half by 17. Conditions and modifications, have they all been met and satisfied? It's not applicable. There are still a few things that need to be adjusted on it. I'll get down to a couple of them here. The land is zoned properly for the intended use. There's gonna be a rezoning that goes along with this. Back to R1 on a couple of the lots. Content of the plat has been satisfied. Data preparation is there. The north point is fine. It is less than 1 inch to 100, but it is permitted. Going down, location, elevation, everything has been satisfied, and the engineer had a discussion with them that they will correct things that need to be corrected before the final plat, or the one-step final plat is presented to city council. Certificate is on there, owner certification and dedications. Mortgage holder will be, that information will be given later, but I don't think there is a mortgage holder. Notary certificates, city attorney certificates, it's not in the annexation, so we don't need it. Title report, we're getting that. Final drainage plan is as is. Vicinity map, there's that. Topographic survey is required, we don't need it. The streets, alleys, curbs, all the improvements we're unsure of any of that, just because there is a dedication for Foreman Street to be extended straight south. And that is for when the developers and the owners are ready to move forward with doing that. They have that reserved for the city to develop that. Recommending all corrections be addressed before the plat is presented to city council, otherwise approved by Planning Commission. There in the packet of each that you received were notes that were written from TEC, and they're just copy and pasted onto a piece of paper for viewing pleasure. That way it's bigger and easier to read. It would kill my eyes looking at it as well. But down here on the south end, you can see the dedication, contingent street dedications. We're forming to keep going south. No other development is planned at this time. This top northern lot is gonna stay zoned as R1A. This one down here is gonna go back to R1, and this bottom one here is gonna go back to R1 as well.
Could you say that one more time?
The bottom one is gonna stay as R1. The middle one is gonna go back to, the middle and the bottom are gonna go to, back to R1.
Okay.
This top
Right
one-
now, it's all R1A, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, what, go back down a little bit. What happened?
You said to go down?
Down or
yeah,
up?
just a little bit. Yeah, okay.
This is what we just went through, right?
No.
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 These aren't the same lots,
Are you talking about last month?
like a couple of months ago? Isn't this
Are
the
you talking
same
about the
months?
rezoning?
Yes,
Yes, that was May or June, something along those lines?
yes,
Yes.
okay. And so,
Blow it up.
what are we redoing here?
We're not, what's presented before you is just a one-step final plat for these 3 lots.
Right now, it's one.
Do what?
Right now, it was 3 separate lots. Or, I
Yeah,
mean,
it's
just
3
each of
separate
them.
lots.
Okay.
We got the north one, the middle one, and then the very south one.
Thank you. Blowing it up. Anybody have any questions?
So, I asked you about this, and, so now, but, so, because, I didn't quite understand all of this on here, the streets, type of improvements, the street and alleys say that we're unsure, like on the type of improvement, over
Mhm.
here on this first page. You know, what are we supposed to? What are we supposed to do here? I mean,
Does this plat require that they add any streets, curb gutter, storm, sidewalk, utilities to serve any of these lots?
No.
So that's what this purpose is, this part of this plat analysis. Imagine for a moment, this is not a plat of these 3 lots on a main road. This is a big acreage, and we're gonna do a whole new subdivision, and it's gonna have all the stuff everywhere. We've got water and sewer and streets. And so this is intended for that kind of situation to say, has that infrastructure been provided for? Are petitions going to be provided by the developer? Is there the letter of credit the developer provides to support, the city's borrowing to get those things installed? That's what this is all for. In this case, because it's just the 3 lots in a row on a main road, they don't need to add water, sewer, access anywhere. The NA is just the point of this is we don't have to worry about, the city's not gonna be expected to put any additional infrastructure in for the purposes of this plat.
right, and so when I started looking through this, you know, I see, unsure, and then there's like yes and no or both initialed. It says, I believe it says that if, you know, if there's a no, that they need to provide, what is it? Something about,
These are just things that you went through, the checklist,
Yeah,
and the things that need to be addressed are on there, and they're addressing all this.
yes, and I talked with Baughman Company. They agreed that everything will be correct by the time it goes to city council. All the corrections that I've requested are to be completed before it's presented to city council, so it is a complete plat.
So,
And there's, within the subdivision regulations, I believe it's the subdivision regulations, a plat can be accepted as long as the developer, makes that promise to get those, corrections made, so it can move on to the next step.
so what he's recommending that all corrections be addressed before the plat is presented.
Because it could go at any time that they would like to do it.
I think that's good.
If it's the unsure that you're worried about, Cheryl, it's because that dedication could take place at any time in the future when the landowners are ready to move forward with it. It doesn't have to take place now, but it could in the near future, in a couple months, next year. I put unsure is because it doesn't have to take place right now.
you know, I would think that in this day and age, you would have an email or something from somebody saying that, I mean,
Saying that, what?
that, you know, not just you telling us, yeah, they, you know, whoever you talked to, I don't even know who it was, saying that they were gonna correct everything on here.
Yeah, please.
Yeah.
The engineer.
Yeah,
Hey,
Hi.
my name is Thomas Joyce. I'm the agent for the applicant. Didn't know where in the process I would get kind of called up here to go over things. Sorry.
No.
Yeah, so I was the one who drew this out. I'm very familiar with this site here. We are proposing 3 lots, an infill project. The reason all 3 lots currently have access to sanitary sewer, currently have access to city water. And the same owner and developer of the 3 lots owns the parcel to the south. And so what we're doing there for that contingent street dedication is if or whenever the owner decides they want to plat that into smaller lots. That way, the owner of lot 3 is not surprised when a street comes barreling through his front yard. It's here on the face of the plat. When he, signs the deed, he knows about it, and it gives the city a way to put that infrastructure in. As far as the corrections and everything like that, I received these comments, I believe, about a week ago.
Yep.
From Dustin. I called him that day, talked through it, and I believe then the very next day I sent him a new PDF addressing most of these comments. In talking with Dustin, felt like all these were kind of just minor, typographical things. And so felt very confident that I can address all these before city council meeting. Really don't see, and really the comments don't really change any of the lot lines or the structures and everything that's already built into the plat, so feel like we can move forward with it. But happy to answer any other questions you might have.
any others? Dustin, I didn't see, you don't have any sample motions?
Not for a plat, no.
Okay, this is a recommendation to the council, approve this.
Actually, this is an approval at the planning commission level.
Okay.
It goes to the city council to accept the dedications that are contained in the plat when it goes
Okay.
up there, but this is an approval at your level.
Alrighty. So I'd entertain a motion to approve or disapprove.
Do you want that motion to be conditioned on the correction of items
Yeah.
that Dustin found before it goes to the council?
That's what he's recommending.
So, one second. I'm sorry, any question?
Yeah, they didn't talk about that.
I haven't talked about it.
You have another question?
Yeah, so, did we talk about on the back,
Right, what?
about the duplexes? What's a two-family residences?
But some of it's rezoned from R1A to R1, right? So, is that what you're asking?
Yeah, the new two-family residences are appropriate. Consistent with R1A or R2 zoning.
But he's.
Okay, yep, I see where you're coming from. That was a comment from PDC's staff. And so when I read that, it's difficult for me to do anything about that comment. It's not a drawing related issue, we're dealing with a plat instead of a zoning issue. So there are a few things,
There's proposed zoning, correct, from R1A to R1 in some of these lots, right?
yes. Yep, but yeah, at this time on these three lots, no duplexes are planned.
Okay.
And it's just, this is not, like what you said, it's a plot. It's just, council will have final say.
Okay. Entertain a motion.
I motion that we approve, the plat, with recommending all the corrections be addressed, before it's presented to the city council.
Second. Motion by Eric, second by Josh, to approve the plat. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Now the second plat is ST-2025-04, 05 Young Industrial, 4th edition.
Yes, so around the office, this one's affectionately called Seal Labs. There's a company moving up there along Tigua off of Meter Engineering. They did a lot split earlier, or late last year, so they could start breaking ground. But to move forward with the rest of the development, they need to replat that piece that was, had the lot split taking place on it. It is properly zoned. Moving down, elevation permit benchmark if required, it's not. Widths of new street right-of-way and portions of dedicated right-of-way plus existing right-of-way. There is a new street that does need to be added within the plat, but they wanna keep it as a private street. Land surveyor's certificate, it is not on there. That was asked to be taken care of before it goes to the city council as well. Transfer record, not applicable. Title report, it is needed. And we come down there, yes, on these items here, key letter, it is gonna be private. Same with, gas and everything, all that stuff needs to be, put in for the rest of the lots, recommending all corrections be addressed before the plat is presented to city council. And come down here, so over here on the right side of your screen, this will be the big paper that you've got folded up in your packet, is meter engineer. Down here, this guy right here is where Seal Labs is gonna go. They've already got this street here, Reserve A, as part of Tigua, which leads into the driveway and the parking lot of meter engineering. They want to extend it north up here to a court and have properties all along the east and west side of it. This part over here is going to remain empty. I believe, Thomas, correct me if I'm wrong, is that part of a reserve as well?
That swap, our swap lot,
Yeah,
part of reserve?
yes,
No, that'll be a platted lot.
just a platted lot?
Yep.
Okay. And then we have final plat. We do have a drainage plan and a utility plan in here.
What was your name?
Thomas Joyce.
Tom?
Yep.
Okay. You, go ahead, do you have anything? to
Um,
add on this, or-
Yeah, kind of a very similar scenario there. Got the comments back from Dustin on behalf of PEC here. I believe we can address most of these. Like on the final plat, need the county surveyor certificate. Tricia Bello, her signature block is on there already. So I'm not sure how that was missed. On the drainage plan, a couple of questions about how the runoff's gonna be conveyed. It's gonna be in a graded channel or a graded ditch to get to the box that'll then eventually fall into the existing pond that's over there. And that pond was actually oversized when Mr. Young did the first meter engineering building. And so we have plenty of storage in there for our new runoff. As far as the utility plan, there were a couple of comments about moving a fire hydrant. We agree with that. Shifting a manhole to where it's not in a ditch. We agree with that. But again, this plan is just very kind of conceptual in nature, just showing how we can serve everything, and no one's actually going to go and build a manhole in the ditch. But got that corrected. And then showing the rear building setbacks. That's something we can do if really needed, but that's kind of setbacks tend to be at least the rear and the side. Those are primarily handled by the zoning of that particular parcel and not necessarily shown directly on the plat. So it's just a little bit extra text to put on there, but I'm happy to put that on there if it's needed. And as far as the private drives and these reserve that are gonna serve these lots. This allows for really less maintenance on the city side of things. It's not a big street, but it is less street to maintain. This way, so Mr. Young, he's actually here with us tonight, if I say anything incorrectly, but his intention is to actually own all these lots and then lease them out, so it's not gonna be sold off to someone else. And so by having a private drive, he has a little bit more security and control as far as accessing these parcels. But we still, with it being in reserves, it's not gonna be completely, locked down in a sense. They're still gonna be able to have access to public street of Tigla Street. So that's my little spiel, but happy to answer any other questions.
What kind of improvements are gonna be?
Improvements, yeah. We are looking to put sanitary sewer and water in on petitions, and then the Reserve A, that driveway is already existing today, and then Reserve B, I believe, at this time is going to be built privately, again, private drive, not going to go on petitions, but the sanitary and water we'll look to put on petitions.
On the lots, what are they gonna use the lots for? These are gonna be industrial?
Right now, just the Sill Lab, the building, the company we started a couple years ago. We're over in Bel Air right now, and we ordered another machine, which we don't have enough room for over there, so we went ahead and building over here. And then the other ones are just gonna be a spec building that, like HVAC company or something, can work out of or whatever. So any company that wanna lease.
Okay, so you're gonna do build the buildings and then lease them out?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not selling any of that.
So where is your facility for this? I'm a little.
The meter engineers?
Yeah.
To the right there, And the Sill Lab is being built in the longer lot out of the other ones.
Lot 11
Yeah.
on our plat here.
So the property is basically split,
Yeah.
essentially, right along this utility
Ditch.
easement.
I got you.
Yeah.
I see where it is. Okay. Any other questions for? I'd entertain a motion, and Dustin had that one recommendation, same as the last one. All corrections be addressed before the plat is presented to city council.
I recommend a motion to, what's here, recommend all corrections be addressed before the plat is presented to city council.
So you're making a motion to approve?
Approve, I apologize, approve, yes.
Second?
I second.
Okay, motion by Eric, second by Krista to approve the plat with the condition recommending all corrections be addressed before the plat is presented to city council. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. So A and B of 10 are still on hold.
Yes,
So do they have any idea when?
not at this time. I'm gonna bring up another option form here, and we'll see what they say.
Okay. And 10C, SD 2025-03, Kano's edition.
Yeah, so this one was tabled back in, on December, when it was presented. There were some questions that Planning Commission had about, a couple of other items. One of which is all right, I don't know, do you want to discuss it?
Go ahead,
Okay.
go ahead, and then I'll
Um,
answer whatever questions you.
City Council, a recommendation was, back when the lot was zoned for R2, so that way they could put duplexes and single-family homes. Recommendation from Planning Commission went to the City Council of denial. City Council at that time recommended a lesser zoning to R1 with the condition that duplexes can go within this area. That was done legally, and the City Council can put that condition on all the properties, so it does not, duplexes that go into this area do not need to be presented to Planning Commission to move forward with that, since they have already been approved.
That's the question, that was the question that the planning commission had, was about that
Well,
process.
there was a
Yeah.
question,
Yeah.
I think Teresa, did Teresa ask that question?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
is that, okay, so we recommend denial. City Council,
Of R2, right?
Of R2.
R2.
Right.
And the City Council went ahead and approved it for
R1.
R1 with a conditional use. Allowing
So the
duplexes.
question was, is to get a conditional use, you have to have, at least from the planning commission side, you have to have a public hearing.
So there was it's excellent question, it's an excellent question. You know, there was a zoning application for R2, which is, as between R1 and R2, is a less restrictive use. So there was a zoning application for that, and there was a public hearing and the zoning process all on that application for R2. Recommendation of denial to the city council. At that point in time, the city council has their, famous three options to do on any of these. They chose to override, and you're right, they passed it as a R1 with a conditional use allowing duplexes, because the planning commission does too, but the council has the ability, the right to approve a more restrictive zoning classification than is in the original application, without having to go through the public hearing process again. And so R1, even with a conditional use, is more restrictive than the original R2 application, on which the public hearing and all the planning commission proceedings happened on. And so now they couldn't have approved in R3, because they can't approve something even less restrictive, or industrial or commercial or whatever. But because they approved something more restrictive, even with that conditional use, it's still more restrictive, that is a permitted action.
Okay. Do we have any problems with it? Was there any other questions? That were- Do we have any other questions?
So where does that leave it now? So, does that leave it with us, or does that leave it with the council?
Leave what? So the property right now is zoned R1,
Mm-hmm.
and it has a conditional use for duplexes. What's in front of you now is the plat,
Okay,
which doesn't have anything to do with the zoning.
okay, all right.
Dustin, this is kind of, you usually have pretty good flow of the meeting, this one on plats and stuff, you have no sample motions or anything, if you could put that on.
Yeah.
It would be.
We don't.
Next,
We don't. It is something that I was working on this week. I checked with several other cities around the area, and they don't have them for those. It's only for public hearings that they have them. That doesn't mean that I can't get them for you.
it'd be helpful.
I know it would,
Yeah,
and
next,
I agree.
Next month, just for your information, I'm not gonna be here.
Okay,
So Eric will be doing that one.
okay.
I'm sure you appreciate
Yeah.
any help on that.
Next month is looking to be very easy. It's just a variance so
Okay.
far.
Okay, so your recommendation,
Of approval.
approval?
And keep in mind that this is just a preliminary plat.
Okay,
This is just giving the developer and the engineer the go-ahead that they can move forward with a final plat. So, once this is approved, they can start on the final plat, and it will be presented back to you again for approval, and then it goes to city council.
so you're looking for, in the comments, you got the K. Miller requesting conditional approval on corrections listed on pre-plat,
Yes,
collector streets to be added in the middle.
yeah, there were
There
were some, my contact there that I was talking about, Josh, there's several things that need to be addressed, like there's some lots that are too narrow, some that don't meet the size requirement for R1, things of that nature, and that needs to be addressed.
Okay, so you're looking for a motion to approve the preliminary plat?
Yes,
Entertain a motion. Yeah, have any other questions on that?
I motion to approve the plan.
Second? Second? Oh, Josh, did you? Okay. Motion by Krista, second by Josh to approve the plat. All in favor? For the preliminary plat? Opposed? Motion carries. The last thing, discuss review of the Kechi 2040 comprehensive plan, Kechi zoning regulations, Kechi subdivision regulations.
yeah. So the things that I came up with are for the zoning regulations, to take a look at Article 5, to allow a drive-through in C1. Should it be outright? Should it be a conditional use? Or keep it as is? Article 7 also has a reduction in required parking. I believe we could get away with having some type of process to reduce the number of required parking stalls in a certain fashion, and that's something up for discussion through all of you at some point, not just my idea. We also need to have your ideas when looking through these items as well. Revision to the sign height and sign area along the K254 corridor. Allow it to be, signs to be higher, much higher, and much bigger. You need that visibility when you're driving at high speeds and you're looking for gas or a place to eat, things of those nature. The comp plan, does the future development plan map need to be adjusted in any way? The arts and business areas adjusted. Like as an example, the south end of Foreman, it is the arts and business district, but it was denied a rezoning to C1. And I'm not trying to drive a point home or anything else like that. I'm just saying that needs to be looked at, why it wasn't done that way, in a sense of what does it need to be zoned or redesigned to. Other zoning areas adjusted, do we need some areas that are not industrial or commercial, things of that nature. Does the arts and business district still fit the vision of Kechi? Is it attainable? Richard, I believe you had said at one of the meetings that you can't sustain a living off of arts and crafts.
Well, okay, and I did see that in the minutes that support it. I agree with, so the arts and craft, arts business district C1 is basically defining what can be put in the downtown area of Kechi.
Right.
And it's not necessarily, it's arts and business, it includes all that, it includes, housing that's currently there.
Yes.
And it's got a lot of other things in there,
Mhm.
but there's certain things we want in that and certain things we don't.
Right.
So C1's, it's still appropriate, and it's sustainable, I mean, you can have realtors or, I got a physical therapy in one of my units, and, you know, certainly that's sustainable.
Yes.
So I don't, it's not that arts and business district is not sustainable, but
Right.
I think the comment was, is, you know, most of those type of businesses are somebody that's retired. I mean, it's not that way with cars. Cars is sustainable, and it's.
There are outliers in every situation. Yes.
But, so I don't want that to be misinterpreted,
Right.
what it's saying.
But that is something that we all need to discuss and come up with a plan, or we keep, you know, the status quo and we keep moving forward. But like, should the arts and business be renamed, rebranded, or re-envisioned to something else? Should it be arts or business district, or something else completely? That's just an example. Those are things that we need to think about moving forward in the next couple of months.
Okay.
So I don't know,
So you're throwing these out here and we'll.
yeah, these are
Talk
things
about
that I
it
just
later
came up
time.
with. I haven't heard from anybody else on what their thoughts are of like a particular article or a section that needs to be addressed in any of the plans, or regulations or the subdivision regulations. If you don't, that's fine. These are just the things that I've come up with that we've seen issues in the past with.
Right. And looking for any other, if you see anything else that should be in C1 that's not currently in there, we might look through all the defined primary uses
Absolutely.
and see if there's something else that should be allowed. So, you know, like I said, when we had the C1, it's trying to figure out what you want in the downtown area, because it's kind of a unique city in that, you know, I mean, it's not gonna support everything in Kechi. You've got too many places like Park City, there's a grocery there and a grocery down in Bel Air, and I'm not sure that would be needed in Kechi, but I mean, it's certainly something that you, I guess you need to look through those and see if there's something else that should be allowed in C1.
So,
Just for, go ahead.
so basically what I'm hearing is that what you're asking for is a definition of what arts and business means to Kechi.
No.
And what a per se marketing plan would be to attract arts and businesses or arts businesses to Kechi. And that's what I've been asking myself for the 10 years that I've been here. Where are the marketing people? I don't see any here. I don't see any marketing type realty people here.
That's,
There's no
yeah,
market
and
for
that's
that.
why this is a different.
Yeah, there is.
It's
Look in
economic
College Hill,
development.
look in Riverside, look in all the places that we have here. They're in Wichita. The
That's-
arts people are in Wichita.
That's our economic development committee, and we did have one at one time. It disbanded though, just a couple of years ago. I know I was supposed to join it, and before I even joined it, had disbanded. So, but that's kinda, what would be needed is economic development for what you're talking about.
Mhm.
So what he's talking about is we need to make sure our planning, or our zoning regulations and stuff are up to date
Mhm.
to accomplish what we want in Kechi.
Mhm.
So just a few comments, so, cause I'm not gonna be here next month if you talk about this, but the drive-through, I think C1, it should be allowed in C1 as a conditional use, that's just my opinion.
Okay.
Reduction in parking, I think that's covered where it can be approved with the, through the BCA, like what they do.
It is, I believe, I wanna say Wichita has the ability to, administratively reduce the number of parking stalls up to 25% without going to a BZA.
Okay.
It-
You might,
And that is an option, it doesn't have to go through, again, these are just, we're having a discussion.
cool, and that would be good to have a copy of that.
Okay.
What they have.
Okay.
And the sign height, and sign area.
Yeah.
And so you're saying we really don't address, I do know that one that we put, on a chamber, it's out east of town, between Webb and Rock, that's 4x8. And it looks small.
Yes, yeah, and those lots that are adjacent to the highway need something bigger and better to help them out. Cause with the way things are developing, I think we're gonna see more and more of these requests, variances for bigger and better signs. And this will help curb that a little bit, as long as we keep it under control on our end.
Okay.
No,
So
and my
we-
comment on no market, I meant in Kechi, College Hill's a destination area. Riverside kinda has their park, the perk, all those places, so that's a destination. You know, if you wanna go to place, what I meant was, as far as no market, there's just nothing to bring groups of people here. That's what I meant, right, there's no market here for arts.
There used to be. And there, you know, I mean, we've got, you know, there could be, but we don't have the foundation to bring it here. You know what I'm saying? We don't, I'm saying, we don't have the team of people to do that. We could,
Well, I think Cards is an example, they do bring
they do.
people.
Oh, yeah, but Cards
They're
like
real.
nation, I mean, they're famous.
World.
Yeah, I mean, you're trying to bring in some other little things that may not be able to sustain itself. You know, like a coffee shop or something, you know, we gotta let them at least find a C1 place to put one, and if they can't, I guess what I'm trying to say is we're not allowing anybody to really do anything,
We don't.
except we're requiring them to be arts.
Uh-huh. Yeah,
Okay,
we need to bring them, yeah, we need a team of people to do that.
Unfortunately, we don't have people in this town that want to volunteer like that.
No, we have to find people.
hey Matt,
They don't even have to live here.
have you thought anything about economic development?
Yeah,
Maybe.
a lot of, some communities have economic development, we're still relatively small. Communities our size lean heavily on Chamber of Commerce, which we do have. And we have an active Chamber of Commerce, so, we lean heavily on them, and that is kind of what the Chamber of Commerce does in a small town. We're so limited on, we just simply couldn't afford a full-time marketing person, some cities have contracts with marketing companies. I don't know how good they are. I know there's some area towns who, contract with marketing companies to try to bring in larger industry, but I don't know how successful they are. But I guess to answer your question, we lean heavily on our local Chamber of Commerce to fulfill those roles for us, as many other small towns do.
Okay, so Dustin's request, kind of do our homework and kind of go through that, and we'll talk about it future meeting.
Sounds good.
Okay, entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second motion? No.
Sure.
And second.
I already agreed.
All in favor?